Okay, so today I'm doing a little bit of a Halloweeny drawing, and I wanted to. Originally, I recorded the sound. I wanted to have a song underlying this talk that was kind of scary, and I made something, and it was. I realized it was just too aggressive and grating to listen to for 10 minutes, and I didn't want, even though I'm drawing a spooky drawing, I didn't want to. I don't know. I don't want these things. I know some of the soundtracks to some of these are pretty noisy and noise based and kind of grating. Um, but the ones when I'm talking, I don't. I just want those to be kind of relaxing. And since this is the second time I'm talking, I made another track, and that was a little more mellower and a little more zoning out worthy. Actually, playing this track, I ended up getting. I have two blisters on my hands, on each hand, from recording this, which is just because I was playing the piano in a way that you wouldn't normally do for like 40 minutes. So, uh, yeah. Anyway, back to the drawing. So, I guess I want to talk a little bit about Halloween and my thoughts on Halloween. And since it is that time of year, and just about kind of costumes and wearing costumes. And I went through this period of time when I was younger, probably around 16, 17 years ago, where it's like I decided one day. I mean, this is kind of something that was building since college, so it's probably building since the mid 90s. But by this point, I had amassed an interesting enough wardrobe where I could pretty much wear things that would be considered being a costume every day. You know, I wasn't wearing like monster masks or anything like that, but I was dressing kind of like I was in Sergeant Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band. Very vibrant, lots of patterns, clashing patterns, and yeah, it was really going for it. You know, like I was like, oh, why can't you live like this every day? And it was a neat little experiment. I ended up in the end. I ended up deciding. It actually kind of backfired on me, actually, because it got to the point where, well, number one, it kind of fashion in itself it started to become this weird, like, you know, like you start looking at people and, oh, I eat some ice cream. And I decided to share it with you guys because I was taking a break from drawing for a sec. Anyway, back to costuming. It became this thing that it started to become judgmental, and like it became this like competitive thing and this kind of addiction. You know, like I was spending a lot of money on clothing, and it was really hard to upkeep. Like I kept starting to like push myself and try to outdo myself, and I just kept pushing things, and it started to affect my thinking, and the fashion became this thing where it's like I couldn't. I don't know. Internally it became this kind of illness where I was like addicted to dressing this way, and I felt like I was starting to lose myself in it, and not in a good way, in a bad way. And so at some point, I had this big crash afterwards, and like kind of mental collapse, and I stopped dressing that way because I just didn't feel like I could do it in a way like I didn't feel like I could do it in a way that like there was like this kind-heartedness behind it. It was like this weird competitive thing, and so I stopped doing it, and then immediately after that, like I kind of like there was this weird like internal collapse on myself, and I had all these problems, like my hands kind of, and I don't know. I think things are related, but it's not. There are other stuff I'm not talking about yet that uh, comes back into this. But the but basically, like my hands, I got like carpal tunnel. I threw out my back to the point where I could barely walk, and it was kind of like it was like I had pushed myself too far, and it was too much upkeep, and at some point I just kind of collapsed in on myself, and all these things went wrong with me, and I gained a lot of weight, and then I wasn't able to fit into the clothes I liked anymore, and yeah, and I kind of, and then also like being into fashion had become like this kind of weird. It turned into something that felt like illness internally, and so now I don't really care. Like it's now I'm the opposite. Like I can't even dress up. Like it kind of like for that time period, dressing like that. As I said earlier, it kind of backfired. Where like now I can't even. Like I'm so averse to dressing in a costume. Like I don't even do. I still love Halloween, and I used to love dressing up for Halloween and making costumes and stuff like that. But now I have no desire to wear a costume, and the stuff I wear is all like, I don't know, I try to wear like plain t-shirts and jeans, and try not to wear any logos for the most part. And yeah, just kind of like down to earth, and it's like I don't want any attention, you know. And I'm not saying I look good or fashionable in any way. I would say I probably look the opposite of that, you know. Like even like getting haircuts is tough for me now because I'm like I don't want to get a haircut that's too edgy or whatever. It's a silly thing to worry about, but it's like it's almost like I'm just trying to fade into the background, you know, like I am not important. Fashion is not important. Anyway, I guess I was talking about Halloween and costuming, and I don't know, in some ways it bums me out that I don't feel like I can pull that stuff off anymore. Because it is fun, and you know, Halloween's a time when everyone has fun, but I feel like when I wear a costume these days, like it's like I feel like I'm losing myself, you know, like and it hasn't gone away yet, so you know, I'm sure someday it'll feel okay again, but it's taken a while. You ever do that? You ever go so far in one direction that with something that you kind of completely ruin it for yourself, and you know, I guess everything is kind of works like a sine wave, you know, like for every action there's an opposite reaction, and I guess I'm in the middle of reaction here. Anyway, this drawing is getting close to being done. The parts of it I really like, and parts of it I don't. I think overall, this is one of my first real attempts at really inking again the way I used to, and I feel like I'm really out of practice and kind of stiff. Like there's a stiffness to this drawing that I don't like, and I gotta try to be looser with this stuff, you know, and not so precious, which is what I was trying to do with the inktober anyway. But I guess after doing a bunch of loose drawings, I was like, oh, I want to try and really dig in and do a really involved drawing. And this was my first real attempt at it. Hopefully by the end of the month I'll do a few others that I feel are more successful than this one. But overall it's cool. It's got a good mood. It's spooky and Halloweeny. The monsters are pretty generic. Normally I try to push things, but I guess I was going for kind of like classic movie monsters, like the classic evil tree.